Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Two Crazy Shuckers Creations. Today's video is going to be my journey of two-part epoxy. So let me get some gloves on first. I have my resin warming in the Resiners pre-warmer. So I want to try for the first time. I make things pretty plain, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't add a lot of things in because I'm never sure about bubbles. I'm never sure how to deal with things like this. So today I would love to do like this lower part of his shell in the, the shells in just clear resin. And then I'm gonna back it in whatever color I do this in later. I'm not gonna work on that part today. And this is from the Resin Molds box, subscription box for March. This I got off Amazon. You know I love anything ocean. And it has a lid. I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do and how I want to handle the two things. So I do want some of these showing, these little starfish. I do want them showing through the shell. I don't know if I should attach them with UV first. What should I do? Get out my resin cups. The first one I'm gonna mix is just the small cup because this whole thing takes 8 ounces. So my guesstimate would be 2 ounces is what I'm gonna start with on that. Especially if I add shells. Oh, I don't know what to do. Okay. I think I'm definitely going to take, today I'm going to be using the Bond Crafter 2-part 1-to-1 epoxy resin. So I'm going to use the Bond Crafter UV resin, and I'm going to attach some of these little starfish down with UV resin. And we're gonna hope for the best. I've never done anything like this. I'm not sure it'll work, but I'm trying to branch out a little bit and do things a little bit out of my norm and out of my comfort zone, which I know you're probably saying, well, you like UV resin. Yes, but I've never UV'd anything into a 2-part epoxy project. I do want that going the other way. I wish I had not put the gloves on until I was ready. Now I have it everywhere. I actually think that it might be a good idea to coat this in that. And then let me get one more out here. Oh, joy. I do not work well with gloves. I don't know what it is. So here's my attempt at using UV. Oh, I need to wipe these off. I do not like sticky at all. I think I'm just gonna go with 3. I was gonna be daring and bold, and now I'm not. But I am going to add just a little bit more. Since this part's going to be clear anyway, it shouldn't matter. That's the plan. Then I am going to set this into my Let's Resin double-sided lamp because I want it cured from both sides. And hopefully we don't get any bubbles underneath of those shells. So I think what I am going to do sorry, my shirt got caught on my cup there, is I am going to put a little bit of crushed crystal in here as well. And I am going to start with just 2 ounces, and then I'll mix up more resin for this, because I really think this looks like 10 ounces to me. I don't know, I could be wrong. That's me thinking, sorry. I wish all molds came like they do in the subscription box from Resin Molds box, because that takes all the guesswork out of it, and it really does make it easier. I wish that, you know, on a lot of Let's Resin ones, they have the quantity as well. So I am seeing a little something right there. I don't know what that is. Okay, so my resin is warm. So I'm gonna get the bottles out. It's pretty warm here today too. We don't have the AC running or anything, but in my workroom right now, my Resiner's air purifier says it's 73. So I think that's a pretty good temperature that I shouldn't have to warm this up too much. I'm gonna go with 2 ounces. It might be too much. I try to make sure I'm right on the money too. I try not to go over. And I do think it's important when you take them out of your pre-warmer that you wipe all the water that you can off the outside. And then I just take the bottle, because I refill these smaller bottles from the larger gallons that they send. I am super excited to say that Bond Crafter, I spoke with them about, I'm gonna put that right back in the warmer so it stays warm. I spoke with them about their UV, their tinted UVs. So we're gonna be trying that in a video soon. So I'm gonna set a timer for 4 minutes, and I'm gonna put you on pause while I get this mixed up and debubbled, and then we'll be back and pour it. Okay, so I have gone ahead and added the shells, the crushed crystal, and I put it through the bubble remover for 5 minutes. There was a ton of bubbles in this. I am so nervous. I've never done anything like this. And so there were some little tiny, I'll bring you in closer. There were some droplets of UV. And so I put a piece of masking tape in to try and pick some of them up, and I dislodged this one. So I've stuck it back down, and I'm hoping that it holds. We shall see. What I'm going to try to do is scoop the shells in, get them to lie down. I would love to be able to put more shells in things, because I've collected so many in Florida, and I just love anything with shells and beachy, but I've always been very intimidated. So wish me luck. I do know that I do want to come, there's like a little, where the design is, you know, of the spots of the shell, I want to come to right to that point. I put more crushed crystal in probably than I wanted to, but what are you gonna do? You can't take it out. So I'm gonna just move this around a little bit. Hopefully I have you to a point where you can see. Yeah, I'm probably gonna fail miserably, but I'm never gonna learn if I don't try either, so. what I'm going to do is, I don't know, should I set this back in my debubbler? I don't know what to do. I do want a little bit more shell up there. Oh, I forgot to spray the mold. Oops. So I'm not going to turn my heat mat on under this for a while because I know that these shells need a moment to kind of degas themselves. And I am going to try to fit all of them in to the best of my ability. I see Miss Sheila, Reptiles and Resin. This woman does these scrappies and then she puts them in resin, and she never has like holes or big air bubbles. They're always so cool looking. And maybe I've learned enough to do this. I don't know what I'm going to back this in and what color I'm going to do the bottom in. That will come tomorrow. It won't be today, because I want this to get plenty of time to just cure and do its thing. So I don't think this cup is big enough to do the shell with. So here's to hoping that there's not a lot of bubbles under there. I do see some resin under there, which I do not like. So I'm going to take and wipe this a little bit with a baby wipe. Ugh. Like I said, I usually stay in my lane, which is no additions. Nothing fancy, keeping it quite plain because I'm learning, plain and simple. I'm learning. So I am going to just tap a few of these down in a little bit. And all I can say is I hope we have enough so that you don't see a whole lot of clear resin. I don't know. We shall see. So I'm going to move that to the side. I'm going to put this, just leave that there. And then we're going to move on to this. So I'm going to mix up 10 ounces. I'm going to get it debubbled, degassed. Actually, I don't think I am. I think I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm going to move this up. I'm actually going to zoom out a little bit so that you can still see this up there. I don't even know if you could see when I was working on it. Let me come up with a plan for this, and I will be back. So instead of using my Resiner's hands-free mixer, I think I want to give this one a try today. I've not used it. I'm not taking it out of the box. It comes with 2 paddles, a charging cord. I don't even know how to get it out of here. Yes, I've never used this before. So I'm going to mix my resin with this today. Change it up. So all I'm going to do is kind of put this in there. Tear that off. Oh, maybe it's not charged. I doing wrong? You know what? I'm just going to leave it sitting there for a second and hope for the best. Hope it doesn't kick on or something. Read the instructions. Display information. Forward rotation is the top button. The power button is on and off mode. And reverse is the bottom. Okay, so this should turn it on. Oh, there it goes. Oh, it's got a light on it and everything. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, I won't bore you with this. I'll be back when it's all mixed in 4 minutes. So this little thing is cool. It actually has a timer and it shuts off every 90 seconds. So I'm on my third 90-second spin here. And I believe that these paddles are interchangeable onto your hands-free mixer as well. Which, because I've seen people that have the different paddles than what I have. So I can say that there are less bubbles than when I do it by hand. Like when I just did that 2 ounces for the top of the turtle, I had bubbles everywhere. So I really think this is quite a little handy thing, especially if you don't have a lot of workspace. You know, like on my desk I have very little space. By the time you get your preheater and then your debubbler and then the stand mixer, you know, and then I have the heat mat underneath this tray, and so my desk just is not that big. So this is great to have a hand, you know, another option. And it's way easier on the wrist than mixing it too. I am going to make sure once this is done that I go ahead and wipe this blade off because I don't want that to cure on there. Now my resin looks really good, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. I'm going to let that drip a little bit. No, I do not like it putting my hands in resin, even the glove. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with this. I'm going to place you on pause and I'll be back. Okay, so I have decided how I think I'm going to pour this. We are going to go with Rolio today. Now I'm just making sure that my sides and everything and the bottom gets scraped down well. I'm going to move that ahead and then I'm going to break it down into some cups. I'm going to use an alcohol ink, some Rolio Azure with a little bit of this iridescent mica powder. And then I'm going to use some of their white pigment paste in the third cup. I don't know. This is really branching out for me. As you can see, I cleaned this off very well. Maybe I need to make my work space bigger. I don't know. So the first thing I'm going to do is in here, I'm just literally going to pour some of this in. I haven't even used any of these iridescents yet. Oh, that's the pigment. Ooh, that's kind of more purpley than blue. That's okay. Literally no rhyme or reason at this point. I am going to put a little bit of alcohol in there just to dilute the micas and help them mix into the resin a little bit. And I do apologize for my air purifier. It's pretty loud right now. And all I'm gonna do is just, oh, I put way too much alcohol in there. That's okay. It'll dissipate. So I ended up doing a full 12. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 4 ounces. I gotta get this broke down so that it doesn't cure on me. You know, do a flash cure. So, and I can get them in the debubbler as well. I'm not gonna go with a ton of white. And actually, I can mix right in that cup. So, the first one I'm gonna get mixed is this one. Oh yeah, that was starting to get a little warm. Now I have to say, this Bond Crafter is super pretty. Oh, I love that color by Rolio. Everything that I'm using today, we have discount codes for. So, Resiners, Rolio, Let's Resin, and the links are all in the description. So, I think I'm gonna get a stick to mix this pigment with, and I have to tell you, I'm not real good with pigment. That is probably way more than I need. I'm sorry if I'm close to the camera too. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get this one in the debubbler. But as you can see, that is beautiful. There's hardly any bubbles in that. Now, it's not quite opaque. It's still a little bit translucent, but that's okay. I don't want it to be super opaque. I just want it to be different than the alcohol ink that I plan to use. Let's get my debubbler going. And then I'll get this mixing while that's doing that. My Resiners debubbler, I can only put 1 cup to a time. So, okay. I think I need more. I don't know, maybe it's stuck on the bottom? I don't think it is. So, it says pure white. Maybe that much? I do want this one to be a bit opaque. I will say their pigment paste does mix in very well. It's still streaky though. Looks kind of like skim milk. Yeah, there's hardly any bubbles at all in that blue. Well, it's probably all that alcohol that I had added too. I didn't think about that. I am going to stick a little bit of this in here as well. I've always been a fan of iridescent interference, the ghost colors. I love them. I love that little bit of extra that it adds. Oh yeah, look how pretty that is. Now I am giving this a pretty fair mix, which is going to make bubbles. You can see them coming up. But I have to say, my blue is almost completely degassed. I have no idea how I'm going to pour this yet. I literally am flying by the seat of my pants. Now this, I'm going to use Let's Resin Sapphire Blue. I want that to be quite, oh gosh, my hands. Now, it's important with alcohol ink to mix it until you don't see the strands. That is one thing I have learned, and I even sometimes have to remember that when I'm doing UV resin, because sometimes you just got to take that extra and mix it in. What I am going to do is give these both a little bit of a spray. There's my machine. I don't know why it just quit, but this was already degassed anyway, so I mean, it's not bad. I got some surface bubbles, but they'll come out. It's my power cord to my machine. There's just something wrong with the connection, and my husband got it for me for Christmas. It's been over a year now. It was in 2024. And so it's not covered under any kind of warranty, but it still works great. It's just where the attachment goes into the machine is sometimes wonky. And it seems to lose its connection a little bit. I don't know. So anyway, I've mixed that till I don't see any strands. My favorite kind of resin is this kind of resin. The translucent. I've never painted a mold before. Well, that's not true. We have a mold from Michelle, you know, and it's a little Trinket box. I do paint that mold, but as far as like this type of mold, I've never painted one before. I've never painted the chrome powders or any of that. So maybe that's another adventure for another day. Oh, I forgot to set the... Oops. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the epoxy from Bondcrafter. They have, my work has definitely had a whole lot less bubbles. I'm not going to stir this too crazy, and I don't really know if those match very well, but that's okay. The ocean isn't one color of blue, is it? That's looking pretty good. I might have some shells that are kind of poking up, but I'm hoping the next layer will help with that. So let me get this wiped off, and it will be the next thing to go in the debubbler. And I'm not going to keep you on here for that. I will be back. Okay, so I just got this last one out, and I have to say, this resin debubbles like a dream. I'm not sure if it's the preheater. Oh, see, now I'm stirring in bubbles. Not good. Which, honestly, I don't really mind if I have a few bubbles in this one, because at the end of the day, it's a seashell. But I'm just going to give them all a light little spray. And I am going to spray this mold. So what I'm going to do is just pour it in, you know, basically like I do when I do the the pencil holders, the brush holders. I don't know. We'll see. All we can do is try. The resin is getting warm, which that does not bother me, because maybe they'll stay, you know, a little separate. I probably mixed up way too much resin, but at the end of the day, it's all right. I'll just pour it into something. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I just really like this little shell dish. I think it's adorable. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of this in, but before I put in too much, I am going to run a tool up underneath of that lip. Now, I am going to take well, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to use this tool and hope for the best, because that is quite a little bit of a lip right under there. I don't see any bubbles. And hopefully the alcohol helps pop whatever may be there. I don't know, maybe this is gonna look terrible. Could be. Might be beautiful, I'm not sure. I try to keep my mat as clean as I can because it saves for cleanup after. I'm not gonna put any more in there. Oh, and I forgot to check and see if my mat was level this time when I moved it over. So I'm just gonna, the resin's gonna do what it wants to do. It's not gonna listen and stay where I want it to stay. And all I can do is just hope for the best. I do love this color, and I'm not sure if it's that interference that's giving the extra shine. I don't think I'm going to have enough. And I did 12 ounces. Well, we will be scraping cups. For sure. Let me get a scraper out. Well, that's disappointing. But, oh yeah, I'm very shy. I should have done 14 ounces for this. That is crazy. My resin's starting to get a little warm now because I did preheat it, which I don't know if I need to do that when it's warm out. So, oh, I just flung that everywhere. Nice. Right when I need the extra, I'm flinging it everywhere. Oh yeah, I'm very shy of resin. See what I can do here. Let's see if I can make any magic happen. Ah! Oh, that white is heavy. I guess I should have had my plan better ahead, so that when I am mixing the resin, I'm getting it into the mold faster, because, you know, there's the mixing, the warming, the debubbling, and then, you know, like, it sits I'm just not good with time management at all. Okay, we're coming up under the lip now. I'm gonna be like maybe an ounce shy, which is fine. I'll just mix it up when we do the turtle shell. Before I add the rest of that though, I am gonna go up under this. The first thing I'm gonna do is wipe this up. I always have, oh, and I forgot to spray this. Ah! I watch so many resin people and they're always so cool and calm and collected. And I dig out my resin and I turn into a hot mess. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this, it doesn't matter. There's quite a few bubbles right there coming up. Now that I've gone around that lip, what I'm gonna try to do is get every little minute amount I can. You know what? I'm gonna take some out of this because it's going over. Ever so gently, it is going over. So close. Let me see what I can scrape out of this big cup. I cannot believe, you should actually probably do 15 ounces with that. I need to get cups that have the odd numbers in ounces. Like these only go to even numbers, which is fine. But yeah, I don't think my tray is even either. Scraping for my life right now. Yeah, that's definitely not even. What I'm gonna do is kind of take this little stick and put it up under here because I can't level the tray right now. Maybe it's the way I have it sitting. I wish I had an expert here to tell me what I was doing wrong. That definitely isn't ideal what it's doing. So I'm just gonna stick this under it. And I'm gonna just keep putting sticks under till I feel like I have it in the right spot. I can also raise the front of my tray up a little bit too. And here I was worried I had mixed up too much resin. Okay, what I'm gonna do is bring the front of this up a little bit. I have the Resins, Let's Resins leveling table. Which I couldn't be more happy about right now, because it did help that one a little bit as well. There's just no extra coming out. And it's getting super sticky. I don't like resin when it's sticky, I have to say. I guess because I work with UV and it's instantly like cured and I don't have to deal with this stickiness. unless I've done something wrong, you know, put something in there I shouldn't have. But for the most part, it comes out solid out of a mold. I never have to worry about dealing with all this stickiness. And UV resin doesn't bother my hands or my skin. But 2-part epoxy gives me a run for my money. I don't think there's any more going to come out of these. Hey, it wasn't from lack of trying, right? I can always, you know, dome that little bit up once I demold it if it needs a whole lot. I'll just, might have to do it with some UV resin, which is fine. I'm pretty versatile when it comes to fixing these and fixing my micro bubbles, and I don't save these cups. However, I have been trying to clean out these bigger cups from resiners, because cups and stuff, the supplies are not cheap. So I'm trying to be a little bit more thrifty with my stuff. I love that I can see the bubbles coming out, and that's looking quite level now. So I'm gonna leave you for now. Tomorrow we will be back to see what I need to do to fix this, and we're gonna finish up this guy here, which he's looking really good, which I was so nervous about this. So anyway, see you soon. Hello, welcome back. So today, to save a little time, I have my Bond Crafter Epoxy 1-to-1 going in my debubbler, and in that I have already put in my color. That's my resin warmer going off. So I used some Hunter Green and the Egyptian Green, which came out with a really cool color. And then I took from this, I used this iridescent shimmery green as well from Rolio. So I did 5 because I figured with the shells and everything we were looking at, you know, that should fill it. But while that's running, I'm going to go ahead and get this demolded. Which is hard to do while you already have gloves on. I'm going to take this and just get it started with that without damaging my mold. Wow, I don't really even see, luckily I don't see any major bubbles. Micro bubbles, they are what they are, right? I mean, I sand them and fill them in with UV. So this is the base. Wow, I don't see any bubbles at all either. Okay, there's that. Get the mold back right. I should have cleaned the mold before I started taking that out. This one might be a little bit tougher to get out. No. I do see some little micro bubbles. I don't know if you can see those on camera or not. Those are not hard to fix. It's just if you have a whole lot of big bubbles. So there's the top. I don't see any bubbles. That came out super cool. Yeah, no bubbles at all. And like I said, those micro bubbles, I sand them down and then fill them in. See how it fits. Ooh. So there's what it looks like together. It's definitely, I can't do anything to it until it cures some more. And I need to trim it, I think, a little bit on that side, but for the most part, that came out good. Of course, I'll have to sand this, and then I fill the backside in either with 1 hour fast cure, or I use a little bit of dyed UV resin. It just depends on how big the area is. But I think overall, that came out super cool. I like how the white looks like waves underwater. Those mica powders are very pretty. It's still very soft. I'm not even going to trim on it or anything right now. I am going to get it back apart though and let that set while we pour the turtle. So with the turtle, as always, I am nervous about bubbles underneath this area. I'm also going to be these sampler packs come from in this box. I love it. And then, you know, then you can get on and buy the jars that you want. Then I've got to paint my Trinket dish because our first event is coming up in March. And this turtle trinket dish that I make from this mold from Glitz and Glitter sells every time I make it. It just takes me forever to paint it, and I don't think I'm ready to do that on camera yet. So it looks like I'm pretty happy. It looks like my starfish are showing up. I don't know. I don't think I have a whole lot of bubbles, but you never know until you get it done. This turtle mold was in the March mold resin box subscription. So I'm just gonna let that dry a little bit. Hopefully I don't have a lot of resin up under this lip. It's gonna cause issues. I don't know. It looks like I do. I'm gonna try to get that off without dislodging my shells. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So I've got about 2 minutes left, but it looks pretty degassed. I'm gonna place you on pause and I'll be back when it's ready. Okay, look at that color. That is really, really pretty. So this will definitely be one of a kind. And I just hopefully leveled my table. And I am going to quite liberally do this with alcohol because I don't want any bubbles. So I did 5 because I mixed up 2 and I had added, you know, the shells, which they take up quite a bit of space as well. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute and I'm going to pour this one. See what happens. I was going to use a different green, but I decided to stick with my Rolio and see, you know, all the different colors and the options that you have when you mix. So I'm going to kind of go under here. I don't know if it'll do any good or not, but I'm going to try. I don't see any bubbles under there, but I'd rather be a little proactive. And it looks like I mixed up plenty. So it looks like my table is still on a little bit of a lean. So what I'm gonna do, so the molds last night, yesterday when I poured those, I did not put them on the heat mat at all. I didn't turn it on because I wanted them to just do the degas on their own as naturally as possible. So that looks a lot better now. Just gonna pour, kind of pour slow, let it fill in on its own, and then I'll go around that edge really quick on that one. That is a satiny color, really pretty mica. So what I do on this mold, there's not much of a lip, but it just saves me later if I'm a little proactive when I'm putting it in to the mold. And it dripped again. See, my table is very wobbly. I do not have it set right. Something. There, that looks better. Sorry about that. This table giving me all kinds of grief. So now that I've gone around those edges, I'm just gonna try to top this up as much as I can without going too far. And I was just about perfect on my guesstimate, which doesn't happen very often. I might have enough. I've been making these keychains out of this mold from Into Resin. A little something stuck right there. And the last pour. Just gonna give that a little wipe with a baby wipe. Oh, see, I have a little bit gone over right there. I don't know what happened right there. I would say that was alcohol. Just came out a little bit. That's okay. Now, you can spray these. It helps with the crystals, but I also run the tool over it as well. I don't even know if I'm in frame. Let me move this back a little bit. Now you see those white parts? They look like bubbles, but it's not. It is literally the details in the shell. I only have one of these molds. And then I just take the dotting tool and I just go over those crystals a little bit. You don't have to spray with alcohol. It probably does shorten the life of your molds. Clean that off a little bit. That looks good. That looks good. I'm not going to spray them for a minute. And my cup is dripping. I can put a little bit more in this one. And then let's do one of our shaker turtles. I'm not going to spray this mold. what I do with this is I just kind of pour into the head and let it run in to the rest of the mold, which I think the flowing of resin is always a helpful thing for bubbles. You can take your dotting tool around the edge just to make sure that you don't have any as well. So I'm going to continue to pour right into the head part of this. And then because I like mine to have a see-through resin, I use UV resin on the back, and then you can see through the little window area of it. So I don't fill mine probably as full as you could. I'm just going to take the tool and make sure I don't have any extra bumps or air pockets in there. I have a little tiny bit in here, so I'm going to make sure I get these feet filled in really well. I do love this color. I have to say, I'm quite happy with it. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. I might leave the heat mat off to let it kind of do its own thing, because I have a little bit better luck, personally, if I don't use the heat mat when it comes to air bubbles. So I'm in no big hurry. If it takes me a few days to make a video, it takes me a few days. I'm gonna pour this little, clean this cup out all the way. And just put it down into this guy. I'll put a little bit more into this guy. I'm also not going to spray those for a moment. I don't see any bubbles. The sparkling on the top is from the interference, or the iridescent powder from Roleo. Yeah, those look really good. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to get out my little lighter and just go over these really quick. See, there's a bubble there. That one still has a little bit of alcohol left in it, which I'm going to leave that. I don't like to overfill the bottom part of this turtle. I just have better luck. So what I'm gonna do is just poke these bubbles that I see coming up. Because if I use alcohol on this guy, what happens is my little window gets covered in. It seeps down over it. So I try to keep that area as clean as possible without, you know, breaking that tension, which, as you can see, is broken right there. What I do sometimes is clean that up with tape as well. So I am going to go up underneath this lip one more time. Unfortunately, it won't stay that way, but I think that looks good. That looks like a bubble right there. That is a bubble right there. Okay. That is not a bubble. That is from the resin that splashed up from the shell layer. Bummer. That's okay. As long as it's not a bubble that I have to repair, I'm okay with it. So I'm going to spray this guy, because I always seem to get a lot of bubbles in the back of those. I'm not going to spray that guy. Oh. That's it. Okay, I'll be back. Not sure when it'll be. It might either be later today or tomorrow. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so I'm going to start by taking these extras out. Oh, that is a pretty color. No bubbles. Not that you'd see them anyway. I do have some cleanup, but these have to sit a day or two before I can start, you know, getting them cleaned up. And there's the shell box. I have it together. It actually came out really good, but I was afraid of the fit on this side, and it's because I've got some overhang right there. See that? I gotta clean that up. So I'm just gonna lay that there. I've been playing around with UV resin and some Resiners chrome markers today too. So I have done the UV back on this, and I'll make a little shell back and get it filled. Ooh. No bubbles. Well, there's one inside of there, but by the time I put the shell back on, you don't see it. I'm going to put that back in the UV light. And then let's move on to this. I'm so nervous about this. I usually do these in a translucent. Oh, that's still. I'm going to have to be very careful right there. Ooh. I think what I'll do is kind of push it out this way. Oh, that's a really pretty color. I just don't want to do any damage. I do have some overpour, but I do not worry about any of that. Look at that, bubble free. Yay, this is the first one I've ever made. Sorry, my air purifier just kicked in. I do see the line from the dish. It's still a little soft on the flippers. Not too bad though. I will take it. So, let's see how many air bubbles I got. Shouldn't be soft. It's just like it's like I filled it too much. My poor nails. Sorry, concentrating and I get quiet. Wow, I can't get this started. It's like it's got a little bit, I don't know, like it goes. in than under. There's like a curve right there. Okay, sorry about that. Yay, I don't see any bubbles yet, but we haven't gotten to the shells yet. I'm just gonna go around this and loosen it up. I do see micro bubbles under there. Actually, that is not micro bubbles. That is where I had resin stuck from the first layer with the shells in it. So I will probably try and sand that down. Well, I am struggling here. And there's way more crushed crystal, I think, than I wanted. Wow. Oh my gosh, it worked. This is literally the first time I have ever put shells or inclusions with UV resin in a project. And I have to say, that is very unique. Now, those little spots that you're seeing, there's maybe one bubble right there, little tiny micro bubble. Those like water looking spots are from the resin from the shell layer. It's still very soft. I'm not going to put it together. For that reason. But that color is pretty. I'll see if I can find a link to these tiny shells. They're from Amazon. I think the starfish are too. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. I'll post a few pictures at the end. After I get everything finished up tomorrow, I will post some pictures and let you see what it looks like. But I'm definitely not going to be doing anything to this. It's very soft tonight. And I'm kind of having to play around with some UV resin anyway. And then I ended up over pouring. I've got this one going, which I painted the mold. And this is from Glitz and Glitter. So then I over poured. So then I had extra. This is Venom by Dianca Pours. It's probably my most favorite color of all time. And then the 4 ounces didn't quite fill that, and it didn't do the lid. So then I had to mix up more. Oh, is that an air bubble? Oh, I hope not. Oh, my finger is stuck to it. Ooh. So then I had to start some little turtles. I put together some keychains, just some stuff for shows. And with that, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for pictures at the end. Have a great day. Bye for now.